Welcome back to the channel, lads and ladies, and welcome to Do Not Even Try and Bacon Gaming, both of whom are going to do well, as Bacon is in the beautiful P-61 Black Widow. This absolutely a gorgeous aircraft, in my humble opinion, has some really neat things going for it. With a decent top speed for its battle rating, something very standoutish here, a 360-degree rotation, top-mounted, remote-controlled electric 450 cal turret dispensing American freedom at reasonable rates in all climates, weathers, and nationalities, and count them four ANM2, I believe, 20mm cannons that punch just hard enough, spaced very closely together under the fuselage here. It can be a little bit awkward to aim, but that can be to your advantage, as well as in a head-on you'll be rising, or if you decide to fly inverted and crash into the ground, descending as you aim toward an enemy who will be aiming a bit differently. So that does give you an advantage in a head-on. We're looking at the beautiful Juke and Judy community camouflage that I have on this aircraft. Not sure if Bacon is rocking this one or if it's just wearing it because I told it to. Bacon's first kill in the middle of my speech on, I believe, an AI bomber. Let's turn the UI back on and get into the good stuff. The top-mounted 50 cal on its own, opening up on targets found toward the front of the aircraft. That is one of the things that makes this heavy fighter interceptor so interesting to watch. Bacon directly controlling the turret in a manner that the replay system just can't handle, getting hits on some more AI bombers. Always nice to pick up some extra credit. Bacon now flying at somewhat of a low altitude, much less of an issue at this rank against the Japanese, as their aircraft just don't have the top speed to chase you down if you have a good minute or so to respond to what's going on. Looking at all of the Zeros and J2s, a Key 96 or 2, a Japanese BF-109, all clustered together as you do. A6M5, that'll be a tricky one. All of them clustered at at combat altitude for the fighters, grouping together as you commonly see in both the German and especially the Japanese tree. There's something about that mobility and turn rate just tends to see Japanese teams clustering together as we get a beautiful cinematic kill on another Japanese AI bomber. Now, obviously, the P-61 is fantastic, and I mean top of the line in an interceptor, anti-bomber, anti-heavy aircraft role. It is superb. Watching the maneuverability of the Black Widow, you can see some of its downsides and how it can be a Widow maker in the game of War Thunder. That is, the roll rate on this huge flight surface aircraft is abysmal in terms of comparing it to the fighters that it will face commonly. As well, its vertical energy retention, not fantastic, although its straight line energy retention is quite good, and with two very powerful engines that look like they were taken directly off a B-17. Excuse me, it is a very powerful aircraft. However, it's also fairly heavy, which means that its turn rate and its climb rate are not quite as good as some of the meme heavy fighters that are in the game now, but all of that is made up for by its fantastic, and again, I'm talking top of the line, as Bacon threatens his squad mate. Yeah, do not even try could use with some threatening. I love you, man. Anyway, if you wanna, well, never mind. Here we see a nice setup, the Japanese at low altitude, and Bacon with still plenty of ammunition left for his 20 mils and a good handle on how to use the 50 cal defensive offensive turret, as I suspect he may be seeing some action with that in the near future. Okay, small interruption there as I went and did some daddy things, but it looks like Bacon is still getting into position here. He's going to use his speed advantage against the Japanese, who have already fallen down to low altitude. You can see there's a handful of American pilots, again, low down now, and this is the fight that the P-61 excels in. You have just enough speed with the Black Widow, especially the premium version, especially the regular tech tree version. But this is the A1, the premium version, which does not have access to war emergency power, which gives the P-61 a significant advantage in these fights. Even so, you do have more top speed than the vast majority of Japanese you'll face, and in a head-on you have a significant advantage in forward-facing firepower. Now, obviously, Japanese fighters, if they're worth their salt, and those two were not, by the way, A6M5 Co going in a head-on against a P-61, oh no, you must not do that, little one, because fireball is the result. Anyway, any Japanese pilot worth their salt will not commit to a head-on against a P-61, but they will recognize the clearly inferior maneuverability of the aircraft and try and take you down from the side or from behind or below. Now, if the enemy is above or behind you, but not also below, remember that it's just a matter of moments before those 450 cals start to track their target, and even the defensive turret on top of the P-61 has more concentrated firepower over most ranges than most of the Japanese aircraft that it can face. Add to that the fact that the P-61 has higher speed, so you can always drag someone along. And can we get the shots? No, Space Potato's pulling his magic. But Bacon decides to do a little bit of turning. This is a dangerous situation, and he misses the opportunity to get guns on target. Now is the time to exit, especially with a couple of fighters closing in. A6M3 in a head-on, loses a wingtip. Not sure what else, but a zero can stand to lose the tip, and just the tip, mind you, all day long, and still perform just fine. As you see here, A6M3 on his tail, but commits to a head-on with the defensive gun. That's right. Everywhere is a head-on for a P-61 if they are in the firing arc of your defensive turret. Bacon showing us how it's done. If you don't take down a Black Widow swiftly, and I mean right away and in a hurry, that 450 cal defensive turret will shred you to pieces. Bacon picking up a couple of quick kills doing just that, and now what was a fair fight turns into an American fight as a lone A6M3 a Japanese bomber, surprisingly maneuverable, the B-7A2, but my money would be on the Black Widow in any scenario. Bacon deciding to play dangerously there. Now, generally you want to make long slashing passes through the fur ball if you're going to engage at all, but Bacon went for a couple of quick turns, always maneuvering with enough energy to keep the P-61 from falling out of the sky, putting himself in a position where he doesn't get blown out of the sky by the Japanese fighters that are so much more nimble and maneuverable than him. But don't have that top speed. Looks like the B7 actually crashed on takeoff, so I'm going to chalk that up to a fail on Gaijin's part. Carriers, am I right? Now it looks like there's only one fighter left on the Japanese team. Bacon, not sure if he is heading off to climb or if he's returning to base. He has suffered a significant amount of damage, albeit spread out evenly for the most part along the body of the P-61, showing once again both the low killing power of Japanese guns in general, especially their 20 mil. It's not quite as bad as it used to be, but it has not kept pace with the increased lethality among other nations' weapons, and it shows. With the right positioning, with the right tactics, you can definitely make the relatively weak firepower, unreliable guns of the Japanese work for you just fine, but all it takes is a P-61 with its truly American amount of DACA and Kachikachuga to take you all down, and that's exactly what Bacon accomplished here, turning the odds rapidly. Now, the Zero has nowhere to run. He cannot outrun the P-61. He has no purpose in avoiding the fight here, but it looks like this enemy Zero doesn't know what to do, and at low altitude, a P-61 can be extremely intimidating to a Japanese fighter. All it takes is a single 50 cal into a fuel tank or the engine, and that Japanese light aircraft turns into a lantern. Excuse me. And at the same time, the P-61, as we've seen here, has the potential to tank quite a bit of damage, especially with the way that aircraft are modeled in the game right now. Add to that the sustained firepower of the P-61 with its generous ammo count for its 4 cannons and insane amount of 50 cals in a very versatile mounting. And it really, I mean, Bacon is making this plane look good. It's not quite as deadly in most matches just because of the limitations of this aircraft in terms of maneuverability, but you wouldn't think so in this battle. Bacon showing off the Black Widow in all her glory, juking Judy with all the right moves, bringing her invasion stripes to the Pacific, and showing us what the versatile and effective firepower of the Black Widow can do. This is one of the few aircraft that has a truly unique play style between switching from defensive to offensive use of the top-mounted turret, the punchy firepower of the aircraft, its somewhat lower maneuverability, but fantastic versatility of firepower really makes the P-61 stand out. And for once, the regular tech tree version at a just slightly higher battle rating, effectively the same battle rating, at 4.0 versus 3.7, actually has several advantages over the premium variant, especially in that it can carry 4 1,000-pound bombs and has access to war emergency power, which takes all its advantages and just amplifies them. The P-61C1 is an absolutely fantastic heavy fighter, interceptor, strike aircraft, and is a perfect example of the superiority you can find in the American line. Again, there are some disadvantages, but this thing has so many strengths in just near enough to the meta of War Thunder that it's a fantastic aircraft to master. And at the same time, at an insignificantly lower battle rating, you have a slightly less efficient aircraft that Bacon has just shown us to be highly effective in the right circumstances. If you can boom and zoom against some turn fighters in this, if you can intercept some bombers, you're going to have a great time. Find yourself up against Focke-Wulfs and Bf-109s, and things might be a little bit different. But against the Soviets or the Japanese, and against heavy aircraft, the P-61 is an absolute joy. Anyway guys, that's it for today's replay video. Big thanks to BaconGaming, who is of course a YouTuber you should all be familiar with. Go ahead and check out his channel, and feel free to send in your own replays. I also, as of the time I'm making this video, have a contest going on in the server events section of my Discord. Link in the description below for you to make some fan art for the channel. There are a couple of images provided for you that I think you'll agree are fantastic. Anyway, encourage you to check that out, and I'll catch you guys in the next video. Bye-bye.